Caleb, wow. Caleb, you brought the room to life. Caleb Kozar, you are our first artist to be recognized, and you are a first grader at Horizons. So let's give Caleb a big. No, we have a couple more. No, we have one more elementary. We have one more elementary school, and that is Whitnall Elementary, and Andy Berry is the principal. David Hefner is the art teacher, and our artist from Whitnall Elementary is Gavin Hefner, and Gavin is in the 3rd grade. So Gavin? Yes.
Gavin here?
And Kim Case, assistant principal, is here. So Kim is, and I know Andy's here. So. Okay.
All right, well, let's take a picture. You want to take a picture with us?
Okay.
We'd like to have one of you. Everybody ready?
Yeah. Yeah. We have 2 middle schools represented this evening. We have Granite Falls Middle School, and the principal is Bill Schreiber. The art teacher there is Mary Rizzo. And we have Kaylee Grogan. She is in the 6th grade. So I know Bill is here this evening. There's Kaylee. We also have Hudson Middle School, and Bill Griffin is the principal, and Kelly Woody is the art teacher. The student from Hudson Middle School is Drew Eller, and Drew is a 7th grader. So these are our 2 middle school students. So parents, if you want a picture.
Come on back to the middle so we can get a Good job.
Okay, now we have several high school students. We'll start with High Brighton High School, and David Caldwell is principal. Jenna Bailey is the art teacher. We have Savannah Ayers, 10th grader. Here comes Savannah. We have Katie Scott, Jr. at High Brighton High School. Katie. And we have Heather Tomlinson, freshman at High Brighton High School. Then we have South Caldwell High School, and Mike Peak is principal. Jamie Stewart is the art teacher. We have Josh Bolin, 11th grader. Josh here this evening? Okay. Kira Lee is also a junior. Kira Lee from South Caldwell High School. And we have Michaela Robinson, junior from South Caldwell High School. Okay. And we have Savannah Starnes. Let's try one more. She's a senior from High Brighton High School. I'm sorry. Maybe we're trying for High Brighton because they show up. How about any one of those here this evening? Okay. Let's go to West Caldwell High School. Andy Poole is the principal, and Kevin Abey is the art teacher. Gazelle Fernandez is a senior. Cheyenne Kimberlin is a senior. Frankie Song is a senior. Cheyenne. Okay. Frankie Song. And Sarah Story. Sarah is also a senior at West Caldwell. And those are our art students. So it's harder to get the high school students here. So this is a photo opportunity.
So you need to step up on the thing.
Yes, congratulations. Okay, we're very proud of those art students, and they should be proud because they're selected at the school level, and so they're competing a lot of other students to get selected to be here at the Education Center. So it's a very good accomplishment. Now we're going to turn our attention to spelling. So we have some spelling bee winners we want to recognize. We recently held the Caldwell County Schools Spelling Bee here at the Education Center, and a new district champion, a Caldwell County Schools district champion, rose among the middle schoolers here competing against one another. And that district spelling bee champion is Tanner Scholl of Oak Hill School. So Tanner, I saw him earlier, so I know Tanner is here. And congratulations to Tanner. Tanner will not stop here at Caldwell County, but he will go on to compete in Winston-Salem at the Regional Spelling Bee. We also have two others who were the second and third place finishers in the Spelling Bee competition. And we would like to congratulate Evan Woody. And Evan is from Happy Valley. He's second place finisher. And Anya, okay, and Anya Blackwelder. And Anya Blackwelder, came in third. I know you. And she is from Collettsville, and we're very proud of Anya and Evan and Tanner. And all three of their principals are here tonight supporting them. And we have Chris Ackerman and Chad Smith and Craig Styron here supporting them. Yes, congratulations. Okay. And it's always a sunny day in Caldwell County Schools when we have students recognized for reading 1,000,000 words or more. Even with the rain outside, it brings a lot of sunshine to us to know those students are reading that much. And they have read 1,000,000 words or more. We recently held a celebration at the J. Broyhill Civic Center, standing room only. It looked like we had over 100 students recognized there for reading and what they had accomplished the second 9 weeks. So we stopped there. We had to come to a stopping point, and they were recognized and given certificates and given medallions. And there are 2 more students we'd like to recognize during that period of time to the second 9 weeks grading period. And these students averaged 85% or higher on their accelerated reader quizzes and met their individual goals. So we would like to add 2 more students to this distinguished list of 1,000,000-word readers. So I'd like to call Bronlyn Talbert. Bronlyn? Is Bronlyn here?
Bronwyn could not be here tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, Julia Knight is here from Davenport A+, and Bronlyn is a 5th grader at Davenport A+ School. And we also have Ella Harris. And I know Ella is here because her principal pointed her out to me earlier. And Ella is a 5th grader at Whitnell Elementary School. So we now have many students students in the school district who have reached that 1,000,000-word milestone. It's pretty incredible.
All right, Ella, you got to stand up here and make us look good, okay?
Yeah.
Turn your certificate. Everybody ready?
Okay, the next one is a little awkward
Yes.
because I'm not going to talk about me. But
Okay, we're going to stand over there, Libby. Well, Ms. Brown usually is on this end, so it's a little odd for her to be on that end. But every year or this year in particular, we sent out from her office this publication called Parent Power. And it caught the attention of the North Carolina School Public Relations Association. And every year they look at school districts to see what's the best practice, what's going on in districts that they award. And so this year, Libby won the award for this publication. So Libby, we'd like to recognize you for winning the blue ribbon and give you a kind of off-color blue ribbon here for winning the award. An excellent publication. We hope you all had great use of it, and congratulations.
Thank you for being here tonight. Now would be an appropriate time if you want to get home and eat dinner or have the children do their homework. But thank you for being here. Okay, do I hear a motion we approve the agenda as been presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is public comment, and as of 4:30 this afternoon, we had no public comment, so we'll move on with the agenda. And I call upon our superintendent, Dr. Steve Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. February is Career and Technical Education Month, so I would like to at this point call Kathy Jo Eckert, who is our CTE director, and she has a student here with her. She was going to have two, but I think one got... I have two. Oh, you have two. Excellent. You made it. So we're so glad you're here. They're going to do a quick little presentation on CTE Month. CTE, for those of you out there who are as old as I am, you may remember it as vocational, but it has changed dramatically, and we have a very strong CTE program in Caldwell County. A very strong program, and Kathy Jo has got two of our strong students to talk tonight about it.
That is correct. Thank you, Dr. Stone and Chairman Pennell and board members. Thank you for supporting CTE like you do and letting us be recognized at this February board meeting, as it is a national recognition across the United States. And there are many, many CTE programs in all of our districts across the United States, but I think we have the best program right here in Caldwell County, and I attribute that a lot to the teachers we have. We have outstanding teachers that are very passionate about what they do and very committed. I'm sure these students can attest to that, and they make the programs, but then it comes down to our students and how I have such a great job because I get to see the success of these students and how it benefits them. And you know, we have so many programs going on across our district and so many great things going on. We're always changing and trying to improve as much as we can to meet industry needs, community needs, student needs. And as you know, we have a very solid Project Lead the Way engineering program in our middle schools. And because of the passion of the teachers, we've added some things to that. We had a teacher go through the medical detectives training, so he's added that to his curriculum. So we're getting into the biomedical field at the middle school. And then we had another teacher who is a national trainer for Project Lead the Way. In fact, we have two. She was selected as a pilot program for the computer science middle school program. So we're looking forward to see how that goes and get the coding going more so in the middle schools. And of course, our high schools, we've expanded some things and added like firefighting last year, and we're getting ready to add EMT to that firefighter academy, and just so many other programs. So anytime you want to visit the schools, please, you are more than welcome to visit the teachers and their students. So I'm going to turn it over now to these young people I'm very, very proud of, and one of the exciting things I get to do is support our career and technical student organizations. And we have quite a few for our programs, but tonight we're highlighting Skillsusa, which has been around for a long time. And we are very fortunate to have from Caldwell County a state officer and a national officer, which both are incredible honors because they are elected by their peers. They have delegates, voting delegates, that they have to campaign on their own and try to get the votes. And these two were elected to serve this year, so I'm so very proud of them. So we'll start with the state level officer and then move to the national. Rachel Robinson is a state officer for Skillsusa, and then our national officer, Dalton Crump. So Rachel.
Okay. I'm going to move this down. I don't even know it's on. Like she said, I am the state officer for North Carolina. I'm actually the state reporter, but I'm also a senior at the middle college, which kind of gives me a little inside look on CTE. Some of you have run by, I've seen you in the office and around campus. Because I'm at the middle college, it's actually difficult for me to describe to people what career and technical education is, because it's normal to me. Most schools, they have special places with like, okay, you go hang out over here, you're going to do your career in technical education. For me, it's normal. Every day we have a major influence of CTE, whether it's two robots running around campus in a race or students lip syncing to a musical creation while filming a music video, which I just actually finished a couple of weeks ago. Or there's also the chance that there will be a crime scene that's being circled around by people in lab coats that have just sprung up overnight in our lobby. It's really the founding principle of my school, and I can't imagine it any other way. My school actually focuses on 3 branches of career and technical education. It showcases information technology, engineering, and biomedical science with their own academies. In each academy, after 4 years, the students are actually able to go out and get jobs. Students in the information technology, for example, spend every day creating graphics that are showcased on our school website. We are 100% responsible for our digital school newsletter that is published quarterly. It is 100% digital, and we put it on our website at the end of every 9 weeks. We are also responsible for our monthly school news show, which is always evolving. So that's my favorite part of the whole thing, is the news show. And actually recently we've had the opportunity to work on websites for the different businesses in the community. We actually redid Bose's website a couple of years ago. Select students got to work on the committee and created it from scratch. In the Engineering Academy, students actually get hands-on with what engineers do. They get to start a product from beginning to end, from the design to actually creating it so they can touch it. They actually end up being certified in industrial level, the standard computer technology that engineers use across the entire world. The Biomedical Academy actually it's science, so it examines the human body and its functions. It's kind of gross to me, but they love it. The students there love it. They get an overview of the human body while they're there in 4 years. They learn about bone structure, body structure, and how they're all interconnected. And they're the ones that do the crime scene investigation, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen, because basically you just walk in one day and there's a crime scene sitting there, so you have the tape and the mummy that we thought was our teacher one year, so we were all concerned. But without CTE, my school wouldn't exist. It's just that simple. And to be honest, my life would be completely different. Without CTE, I wouldn't have realized that I wanted to be a radio broadcaster. I learned that through an internship that I did for 2 summers with Foothills Radio Group in Lenoir. I also wouldn't have had the opportunity to work and meet local business owners, and I'm actually creating a website for High Brighton Building Supply that I would not have been able to do without having to make a portfolio for my digital media class in the Information Technologies Academy. It has also allowed me to become a state officer, as Kathy Jo said, for Skillsusa, which has allowed me to actually change the lives of different students across the state of North Carolina. Because I was a part of CTE, I was able to tell a professor at Wingate University that I had more broadcasting experience than most students who were on the tour with me when I went touring. Because I had done the news show, I got to help him actually work on their news show that day because he was finishing the editing and he had a question and I actually got to help him, which was amazing. But because of that, I've been able to create newsletters, I've been able to create new shows, and I actually last year was able to create a short film completely from beginning to end with screenplay, the filming, the editing, and then we got to showcase them at a school function, which was pretty cool. So CTE has allowed me to do so many things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Thank you.
Tough act to follow, isn't it, Dalton?
It is. Career and technical education is preparing students for the future, giving us the skills to be work-ready right out of high school. As the baby boomers retire, there will be over 50,000 careers open. These are our carpenters, architects, 3D designers, nurses, chefs, mechanics, and many more. Without CTE, these careers would be left vacant, a skillless America. But thank goodness for CTE and career and technical student organizations, because without us, America would be deficient. These students will be able to jump right in and have America running just as well or even better. What CTE has done for me is immense. It's given me countless opportunities. With CTE, I've realized what career I'm going to do, and it's given me the knowledge and some skills vital to my chosen career. CTE has introduced me to many CTSOs to choose from, and within those, I've been able to become a leader. My first CTE class was the Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering class. Taking that class made me consider being an engineer as my chosen career. But the coming year, I had found my love, health science. Health Science 1 is the first class, of course, but it's pretty much anatomy and physiology class. I've always had a love and fascination for the human body and how it works. I decided then that I was going to do something in the medical field. Now, a year later, I'm in the Nursing Fundamentals class, training to become a certified nursing assistant. I am really excelling in this class because of my love for health and my leadership ability, thanks to Skillsusa. Skillsusa. That's really been a journey for me. From being a regional officer to a state officer and now a national officer, Skillsusa has changed my life. It has brought me out of my shell like it does with many students. It's allowed me to meet lifetime friends as it does with many students. It's given me leadership ability to help me prosper in life as it does with all students. Without Skillsusa, I wouldn't be the young man I am today. I wouldn't be able to have the national level leadership training, nor would I have been able to attend the Washington Leadership Training Institute and facilitate students. I have been so blessed. I want to give thanks to my family, school, county, and state. Without y'all's support, I would have nothing. Thank you for it all. Thank you for all the funding for career and technical education and thanks for the funding for the students to go to national competition. We would love if you kept doing that. Thank you.
I didn't tell him to say that. All right, thank you all very much. And would you have any questions for these young people?
Dalton, do you know what ultimate career you'd like to pursue?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to be a nurse anesthetist.
Okay, great, great.
And Rachel, you're going to broadcast.
Yes.
That's your love.
Are you both seniors?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, good luck on your career choices. You already are well prepared for it. I'm sure when your college application comes across the desk of someone in placement, you rise to the top because of Skills USA and your grades and your leadership. So, and you make us extremely proud to have a state officer and a national officer. We are extremely proud. So, thank you for doing that. And you did a great job tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to move on to action items. And we have Exhibit 2 is for action tonight for approval. As you know, the North Carolina School Boards Association has been helping us to update our school board policy manual. Most of the changes in all of these policies have to do with language, some legal references. It has been out for 1 month comment period, and we've received no comment. I'd like to recommend approval of the policies, the updates to the various school board policies.
Do y'all hear a motion we approve the revisions to the board policy manual as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the revisions to board policy as presented to us.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Any comments, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Moving on to item 2. This is 2 policies that we would like to put up for 1 month comment period. I want to call your attention to 3621, particularly on page 2 of the policy. This is an addition to the policy. It has to do with, for those of you who don't have the policy in front of you, it has to do with student athletes. And as we look at this attendance policy, we've added an attendance component back in November or August. That's right. And now we're adding a component about the deliberate misleading of information. What we don't want is for parents or for students to deliberately tell something on their transfer policy or their athletic eligibility policy. So we have added a component that if they do deliberately mislead us, then we can, of course, declare them ineligible to play. Would like to recommend this be placed on a 1 month comment period.
Do I hear a motion that we approve for a 1 month comment period the revision of policy number 3621, student athletic eligibility?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the policy 3621, student athletic eligibility, to be placed on a 1 month public comment period.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone have any questions, comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the other new policy, 4201/7271, which is injury and loss prevention, is a new policy based on the recommendation of the North Carolina School Boards Association, and this deals directly with the hazardous materials in our buildings, the handling of them, the prevention of the identification, the evaluation, how to correct those hazards. So it's really a way to protect our employees. So we recommend approval for a 1 month comment period, 4201/7271, which is the injury and loss prevention policy.
Do I hear a motion that we approve for a 1 month comment period the policy 4201/7271, injury and loss prevention?
I make a motion we put on the 30-day review policy for the injury loss prevention policy code 4201/7271.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions for Dr. Stone? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, my last action tonight is again for a 1-month comment period. If you look at Exhibit 3, and these are the proposed calendars for next year. We have 2, which is for our traditional schools, which affect 24 schools. On that calendar, we start school on August the 18th. The last day is June the 10th. Highlights of the calendar is pretty routine. The 3 days for students at Thanksgiving, the 2 weeks at Christmas, and the week and a day, Easter break, and the other holidays that are built into the calendar that are required. This is a 180-day calendar. It does comply with the North Carolina general statutes regarding school calendars that require us to start no earlier than the 24th and be out of school by June the 10th. So we'd like to put that one out for the 1-month comment period. The other calendar is for the Caldwell Career Center Middle College and the Caldwell Early College High School. This calendar, we do have calendar flexibility on these schools. They're innovative high schools, so we can set the dates to correlate to the community college. And so for the proposed first day for students on this calendar would be August the 6th. The last day would be May the 19th. And it has many of the same holidays built into the calendar, but this calendar does align to the community college calendar since those 2 schools are on the community college campus. So we'd like to place those 2 calendars out for a 1-month comment period.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we put the proposed 2015-16 traditional school and early and middle college calendars out for 30-day comment.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Okay, any comments, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stone. Next, we have Dr. Trish Johnson, Associate Superintendent for Human Resource Services.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Stone, I have 3 items for your attention this evening, starting with Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 includes usual and customary personnel information provided for information only, requiring no action. Exhibit 6 includes usual and customary personnel action items. I respectfully recommend approval of these items as they have been presented to you.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the usual and customary personnel matters as presented?
Make a motion that we approve the usual customary personnel matters as presented by Dr. Johnson.
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And then in Exhibit 7 includes student transfer requests. Since your last meeting, we received 27 requests for student transfers. Of the 27 requests received, 25 meet established criteria. Respectfully recommend approval of the 25 student transfer requests. If approved this evening, that brings our total board-approved transfers for the 2014-15 school year 588. Respectfully recommend approval of the requested transfers.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the 2014-2015 student transfers as they have been presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve these student transfers as presented tonight.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Dr. Johnson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Carol Burns, Associate Superintendent for Educational Program Services.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Stone, the accountability models for the school keep changing, as you so well know, with the grades that just came out for the school. So now we need to talk about the accountability model to be used by our 2 alternative schools. Up until this year, what we did was a local option, and we had specific goals that these schools would choose, and they were measured against those goals. But as of December, the board has passed a new procedure for the accountability for alternative schools, and they can choose one of 4 models, and we wanted to bring to you tonight the model that they would like to follow. The first option is they can do the same thing that the regular schools are doing exactly and receive the same grading system. The second option would be for them to send everything back to what we call the home schools, since they don't graduate students and the students are not staying there for year after year after year. They could also develop their own model, which we understand school systems that may have had thoughts of doing this. It's really hard to get past the state board with a model of your own. Or they can use what is called the Alternative School Progress Model, and that is the model that we're going to recommend for them, which is called Option C. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because I think if the schools could choose on their own, they would choose Option C. The other schools would choose Option C rather than what they have now. So this is what's included in Option C. It's done on a percentage basis. 20% is what is called student persistence, which means the student doesn't drop out but stays in school, a school in North Carolina for the entire year. So there's your dropout bit. 20% is achievement. 60% is growth. And that's all put together, and that's their model. Now, see, rather than the 80-20, here's 60-40. So that is the model we're recommending. Now, for this particular school year, as we go through it, all of the alternative schools will get the same rating at maintaining. But beginning next year, they will either be rated as progressing, maintaining, or declining. And that will be based on looking at their scores over a period of time. And if they go up 3 points, they will be progressing. If they go from minus 2.9 to plus 2.9, they will be maintaining. If it's minus, they will be declining, minus 3. So all of that's to tell you that the model we are recommending for them is a 20-20-60. We feel like this is probably the fairest for them, and we do have to report this to the State Board of Education. And we must have your approval to do that.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we have approval of the local accountability options for Horizons Elementary School as well as Gateway School?
That's right.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the local accountability options for our alternative schools, both Gateway and Horizon.
Which is Option C.
Option C. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Any questions, comments?
The one thing that I was curious about under the student persistence, because our goal is to get students back to their home school. So if we do a really good job of doing that, will that decrease our percentage?
No, it's if they stay enrolled in the school system.
Oh, okay.
If they stay enrolled, they do not drop out of the schools. A school system.
Okay.
It could be any school system in North Carolina as long as they are enrolled.
Okay.
That will make us follow them wherever they go to make sure they're enrolled.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Burns. Next, we have Associate Superintendent for Auxiliary Services, Dr. Jeff Church.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Stone, you have before you Exhibit 9. That's a lease renewal with Sistel Business Equipment for copiers throughout the school system. The lease will run from 2015 to 2020, and I respectfully request that you accept this lease.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Sistel Business Equipment copier lease agreement as presented by Dr. Church.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I have a question. In the contract, was there an increase?
There was a slight increase. It went from .011. It went basically about $1,500 a year difference in the cost.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. Exhibit 10, bids were received for HVAC replacement for the Education Center on January 27th. Hickory Sheet Metal was the lowest responsible bidder. I respectfully request that we accept the bids as presented. And before you consider that, when it comes to capital funding, the Education Center comes last. Schools come first. The unit that we are replacing is a 1965 unit. It's 50 years old. So I respectfully request that you, yes, it's a dinosaur, yes. So I respectfully request that you accept the bids as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the HVAC bids for the Education Center from Hickory Sheet Metal as presented by Dr. Church?
Make a motion that we approve the HVAC bid as presented by Dr. Church.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Church.
And thanks for the great pics from.
Oh, the
William
pictures
and
are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Mr. David Johnson, our Finance Director.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Stone. I have 4 budget amendments for your approval tonight. Budget amendment number 9 is a state public school fund. It is a total increase in the amendment of $70,238. Budget amendment number 10 is for federal grant fund. It is a net decrease of $845.30. Budget amendment number 11 is for the special grants fund. It is an increase of $121,449 in additional revenue that we did not budget during the initial budget, and some carryover funding as well. And budget amendment number 12 is a capital outlay amendment, and it is a decrease in the funding for capital outlay of $5,369. It is my request that these budget amendments be approved as presented.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the budget amendments to the State Public School Fund, the Federal Grant Fund, the Special Grant Fund, as well as the Capital Outlay Fund as presented by Mr. Johnson?
Make a motion that we approve the budget amendments as presented by Mr. Johnson.
Do we have a second? And a second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes.
Okay, this will bring the total budget to $120,225,996 for Caldwell County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next on the agenda, we have Mrs. Darcy was able to attend the Advocacy Institute in Washington, D.C., and we are happy that you were able to represent us there. And we'll turn it over to you and tell us about some of the things that you were able to do and see there.
Okay, well, there were 700 school board members from across the country in Washington, D.C. this time last week, all over the place. And they generally start out with giving us a good bit of information on what they're predicting for Congress. One of the things I was asked to do before I went was to gather some information specific to our school system, particularly as it regards ESEA, IDEA, child nutrition, and so forth. And I really appreciate Dr. Stone, Dr. Burns, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Semple, and the Exceptional Children's Department, who really did a great job of providing me with the facts and figures so that I could put together a hopefully short to the point piece of information which I shared with the representatives of our members of Congress. We did have a particularly good speaker on Monday morning. I don't know if any of you watch on PBS on Friday nights, Gwen Eiffel hosting Washington Week. I think it's one of the best programs on TV. And she was our keynote speaker on Monday morning. And I wish she'd run for Congress. She's one of the most sensible, balanced people. They go out of their way to have people on that program. If you haven't ever watched it, you really should. It's 8 o'clock Friday night, UNC TV. And they go out of their way to have people with different viewpoints who can discuss issues in a calm and rational manner. It's not screaming, attacking, accusing, this kind of thing. And that's one of the things that she said they spend a great deal of time trying to do, is get people who can present the facts on these different issues. And so, as I say, she was an excellent speaker. One somewhat encouraging thing is that Senator Lamar Alexander has put forth in the Senate, and Representatives Klein from Minnesota and Bonamici from Oregon in the House have already, that they actually, the House bill was floated while we were there last week, put forth bills to reauthorize the ESEA. Now, we're cautiously optimistic. We did on Tuesday go to Capitol Hill. They kept changing our appointment times, which is, if you've ever, I know Dr. Johnson's been to Capitol Hill, you know how far those buildings are from each other. Our first appointment was at noon with Senator Burr and Senator Tillis. We spent some time, particularly with Senator Burr's legislative assistant, and Senator Burr spoke considerably more than Senator Tillis did for obvious reasons. He's been around a good bit longer. And he was cautiously optimistic that this has a pretty good chance of getting through the Senate. There were only 2 of us from the western part of North Carolina, besides me, a gentleman named T.W. Sanook, who was from the Cherokee Indian Nation. We were scheduled to see Representative Meadows at 1:30. At 25 after 12, Leanne Winter got a text message that said he can either see you at 12:30, which was 5 minutes from then. We were in Russell in the Senate building, and we knew that wouldn't work, or he can see you at 12:45 if he can get there. So TW and I flew across behind the Capitol. You don't dare run because you'd probably get arrested. But we hurried as fast as we could, got to Senator Meadows' office, and he wasn't there. So we did speak with his legislative assistants, and I actually was there for a rather short period of time because I had been asked by the School Board Association to meet with Virginia Fox, who's from Watauga County. And so I scooted on to the next building, and I did meet with her and her legislative assistant, and she was also fairly optimistic that these bills would pass in the House. Now, one thing she said there are some differences in the Senate bill and the House bill, so it'll probably have to go to conference and they'll have to iron out their differences. The one thing that we did hear that was a little concerning, a lot of people feel if these bills get worked out and passed, that the president may veto them. And so we said, why? Because so much of what is in these bills would basically gut the Federal Department of Education. It would move control back to the state and local level, which of course we've been asking for how many years have we been doing this, Dr. Burns? And, you know, it would remove a lot of the testing requirements. It would remove a lot of what the National Department of Education has been pushing on us for the last umpteen years. They're not sure if there's a veto-proof majority. And so what NCSB what NSBA was telling us is their anticipation is that by the end of next month, we may know something. So, as I say, they were cautiously optimistic that we might see some real progress this year. But it's, we always have to wait and see. But, you know, we felt like it was a productive meeting. I don't know whether you all happen to know or not, but Virginia Fox actually went to Valmead School when she was little.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that it's always good to have a connection with somebody. So, and she knows that I know where Valmead School is. So, you know, I always mention that, and she knew a couple of their teachers and so forth and so on. So we had a nice conversation about that. So we hope that we accomplished something. We definitely gave it our best shot.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Darcy. We truly appreciate you representing us there and providing us with that information, and hope that things do go well. Dr. Stone, do you have any information for us?
I do. A couple of things. One, Amy Lohman, who is the principal out at West Lenore, will be taking some medical leave starting this week, and she'll be gone for a possibility 6 to 8 weeks. So I am asking and doing a contract with Dr. Hall to do some interim work for us to make sure we have a principal on duty there. So Dr. Hall has said she would do that, so I just wanted you to know in case you wanted to go by and see Dr. Hall. She'll be working at West Lenore for us for a while. The A through F grades are out. Very disappointing for us that we didn't have all A's, because I believe we're an all A school district. But as Carol mentioned in her presentation, it's based on an 80-20 formula. So we'll be working, and I know your School Boards Association will be working as well as school administrators to have that formula tweaked so it could be more toward growth. But again, I invite anyone to visit any of our schools to see, and for the public to give the grade to the school based on their individual experience there as well as the teachers there. And I think the grades are undeserved. But it's a piece of legislation that you've gone on record as being asking the General Assembly to revisit it, to look at the formula. It's something that we'll continue to pursue with the General Assembly. And speaking of that, my last item is had lunch with George Robinson today for those on County City, and we'll be inviting him for a breakfast meeting, what I'd like to with the board, so we can talk about some of our issues that are important to the school board and to the school system. And as soon as we can arrange that, I'll let you know what date that will be. But it'll be an early morning breakfast for just some time to meet George and to talk with him. I'll also invite Senator Suchek to breakfast as well, to see if he can come down for a breakfast. And I'll get you those dates as soon as I can work out something with George. George is very interested in listening to the county, people in the county. He's very open to that, and expressed that probably 5 or 6 times, that he's an open door and welcomes everyone. So as soon as I can arrange that, I will certainly let you know, and we'll post it as a public meeting to invite the public.
His mother was a teacher for us.
Title I,
for
yeah,
many
Title I
years.
for a long time.
So.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Stone. Next, we have a couple of announcements. One on your agenda there is the March 9th, 2015 Board of Education meeting here in the Education Center, and as usual, we'll have the art gallery at 5:45, the reception at that time, and the board meeting to begin at 6. The other event, and I'm sure the board, I think you probably have an invitation in your folders there, or we'll be getting one soon if you don't, for the Education Summit coming up at High Brighton High School, and that is on February 20th. So not very far down the road here, this Friday a week, and that will begin at 8:30 and last till 11:30. So those
If you
are...
want to eat, come at 8.
Come at 8 if you want to eat breakfast there. So we hope that everyone can make that event. Should be a great morning there. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you for being here.